I want to play this for you because I think it's so important to show why we're working with the critic, letting go of the critic, whether it be about who voted for who in the election or our neighbors or everyone. Believe me, I don't know how to do it. I've been doing it for years. But what it does is it can block things. So I found a post on Facebook this morning. I thought, oh, this is what we're working with. So I'm going to play it for you. It's a woman who wanted to publish her book and what she went through to do it. And hopefully by sharing. Okay, so I thought I'd play it because it really is honest. It's really vulnerable. And one of the good things about everything going online is that we're being, if we want to work from home, we're being forced to get vulnerable. What scares us, what doesn't. So I'll play this. You can have your own reactions to it. And you just let we'll start the discussion. Okay.
21st attempt at this video. I have to watch a little bit of The Voice or some sort of feel-good show, and then I'll feel kind of a little tingling of bravery, and I'm like, oh, it's a good video, and then I mess something up or don't say something quite right, or I talk for too long, and I'm like, oh, let me start again, and then I do that so many times to where I feel like I want to be really small again and hide in my tiny little armadillo shell. So let me just own this one. This is the one, Jen. This is the one we're going to post. Okay. I am realizing through this process of my book deciding she wanted to be born 1 month premature that I am absolutely terrified of marketing myself. And it's not just like, oh, I'm afraid to put myself out there, because I put myself out there all the time. I do content creation. I've done stand-up comedy. I do improv. Like, I'll happily go on a stage right now and talk, no problem. But I have the safety of comedy there. Also, I'm learning that I am afraid of sharing about the really good stuff, the successes, the fact that my book was number 43 on Barnes & Noble's top 100 yesterday. I'm also afraid to share about all like the old storylines that come up around that. Yesterday, when I saw that my book had moved up the top 100 list to number 43, I was excited for a little bit, and then this voice came in and was like, yeah, but it's not going to last very long. And also, I bet anyone could get on this list. And I was like, yikes. And that kept happening, right? Something exciting would happen. And then that voice would come in and try to damper that down. So finally, I was like, let me talk with this aspect of myself. And did. First, I called her Fun Spun. She didn't like that. So I called her the protector. Hello, protector. What are you trying to protect me from? Disappointment, shame, embarrassment. And I asked her to step aside. Please step aside. Show me who you're protecting. And there's this younger version of me, like 5 or 6, who's just sitting on the floor, surrounded by all these colorful, creative things she's made. I don't have a specific memory. It's kind of like an overall collection of a time of my life. And this little Jen is just so eager to do well and so eager to please and so eager to share, but feels like every time she goes to do it, that some sort of explosion happens. I have these memories that come back up. Like when I would win something, I would have a family member make it about them losing. So rather than me celebrating my win, because that would be me bragging, I set the win aside and I go and I take care of this person, or I sit silently and wait until that person's big meltdown is taken care of. Even growing up, adults, teachers, mentors would share that they were jealous of me and my successes and my skill set. And so it's like every time that I would really go to step into my power and every time something really exciting would happen, it's almost like I would get slapped on the wrist for it. And so I'm finding myself perpetuating that tendency. That's what's comfortable. It's like, oh, I'm getting out of the comfort zone of what seems safe as success. And in that part of me that I learned from other people is coming in to try and keep me safe. So I had this very specific memory. This is kind of precious. I had this very specific memory of doing a coloring contest with a family member who was also a kid. And we gave an adult the impossible job of telling us who was the best colorer. We drew and colored a caterpillar. Mine was epic, and the adult chose mine as the winner. And I felt so excited because the family member I was up against was 2 years older than me. So I was like, oh my gosh, I won. This is so exciting. But then that family member had an absolute huge meltdown, breakdown. And the entire caterpillar situation became about them. So I had this memory come back up, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to remake that caterpillar, and I am going to own it, and I am going to put it on the wall, and I'm going to share it with the world. And so that's what I'm doing right now for that little gem. Your caterpillar was amazing. It still is amazing. It's timeless. It's fantastic. I'm so proud of you for your hard work on that caterpillar, and I'm even prouder of you for being willing to share it. And so I'm going to try and say this thing to myself about this book. I am so proud of you. Look how creative you've been. Look at all the hard work you put into this. And I'm even more proud, or prouder, whichever the right word is, that you're sharing it with the world. How cool is that? You made this. Wow. I'm going to put it up on the shelf so everyone can see it. I've been wanting to hide in my little armadillo shell today, you guys.
Okay.
My book.
That's just, well, I guess it's a $30 book anyway. So you can go if you want it, but that's not really my point. If you would take and write down on a piece of paper, first thoughts, best thought about hearing this video, what stands out for you, what most impacted you about the video, how is it something that you might or might not be working on, where are you with that inner little girl. Half a minute, and then we'll talk about this. And I'm having you write it down because I think it's important to get our thoughts in order to talk about this.
We're writing down what we feel she said.
What you feel she said, what you feel about what she said, what is going on in your own life that is a mirror for anything she said. If that's not going in your life, you're probably not going to identify much with it. I have to say, I did identify with what she said to herself. So is there anything she said to herself that you identify with? Let's talk about the video a little bit. I think this is so important. It goes back to what we said on the first day about me being in front of, you know, after 10 years of teaching the Artist's Way and thinking, why does this work so well? And so much of it, I realized as their faces morphed into the children that we are. Like I could look out at you now and see that little girl that you know, boys in here, that little girl that you were, you know, how gentle, how sweet she is. And this woman talked about that being inside of her. We are always looking to that little girl when we're creating, to some extent, you know, depending on your nature. So anyone have anything that they want to share about this video that they thought? And oh, by the way, so it's the same as the election. I'm just putting on my neutral hat, put on our neutral hats, really be open to listening to what anyone says, because that is why creativity works so well, when we allow everyone to be who they are, because that gives us permission to let ourselves be who we are. So would anyone like to begin the discussion?
So
Brave enough? Yeah, go for it, Les. Oh, Bonnie, I heard you. Bonnie, Leslie, you decide who goes first and second between you.
go ahead, Leslie.
Oh, thanks, Bonnie. I'll just get this out of my system.
Go for it.
I just saw that she was coming from a very competitive family. Everybody was competing with everybody else in the family, and then other people were doing the judging. So that's probably kind of typical of families. And I think there was a lot of competition in my own family. Me being the oldest, I had to win everything. And obviously I didn't always win everything. And as time goes on, you lose a lot of your points. So I could really feel for her.
You know, it's interesting, as you were speaking, when you said the word points, I could feel the sadness. Just toward the end of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
So what I heard very distinctly was that she was afraid of sharing success because it might hurt somebody else's feelings. And what I found, because I was raised in a religious cult, the things I wanted to do would have been shamed because it was sinful. Everything I wanted to do was sinful, which was like totally ridiculous. But I had to be careful about what I shared, or I would be judged as like craving sinfulness, or however they think about things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the cult-like behavior, and I studied a lot about cults. They fascinate me. Uh, is again, there's healthy ways of being, and then there's where they take it too far, and it's just unhealthy, and that's unhealthy, and it's certainly what I'm hearing is you could not be who you were. You could not
Oh
share
no,
anything
not at all.
that went outside of that cult.
You're
That
right.
was, and it was, and not only that, I hear, and you let me know if this is projecting on you, that you were shamed for being bad or good.
Oh my God, I grew up only recently. Only recently have I changed the tape in my head that was given to me because of some events that happened right around the time my father died. I had to sit myself down and say, okay, wait a minute, something's not quite right here, and you need to figure this out. So, life is like pulling back an onion, and I've just been peeling back so many of those onion peels like for so long, and then a really big one. And since I was able to pull that back, and the tape in my brain absolutely changed 180 degrees. Finally, I've been working on trying to figure out where all my blind spots are for decades. And I can't tell you how peaceful I feel, because I had such a strong realization that I had accepted the shame and the criticism of my entire family, but nobody told me why things happen like that. So that it became very clear the last few months, in the past year and the past few months. It's amazing when we get clarity. Our
I am
lives change
so,
so dramatically.
oh, yeah. I'm so happy for you, honestly. Is there anything, I mean, and I love that image, I used to that when I was getting sober, that image of the onion, and the heart is in the inner
Yeah.
part of the onion.
I finally feels more at peace now than ever in my life. And my sister did something very extreme right before my father died that I could never comprehend her doing. And I mean, I've been sitting trying to peel back that onion for decades, but that was like, okay, Bonnie, because if we're in a cycle of trauma, we are somehow participating in the cycle.
Yep.
It's no such thing as that so many other people are doing it to us over and over. We are somehow participating. So I said, okay, Bonnie, you have to figure out how you're participating in this cycle of trauma and abuse. And what I realized was my participation was that I accepted the storyline they gave me, even though I questioned it and fought against it. Once I truly accepted that it was wrong, I didn't need to fight against it anymore, because it was wrong. And I don't have to fight against it anymore, because I believe it myself now, but it took decades of searching.
Yeah, well, I can relate. And I'm so glad you shared that with us. Thank you, Bonnie. I mean, the vulnerability of being able to share that. Thank you. It gives the rest of us a path. I saw your hand up, Rachel. I didn't see anyone else's, but if you want to talk, just.
Well, just one of the things that came, things that came to me, questions I had for her were the gender of all the people, because in her speaking, nobody had names. So I don't know if the person who was older was an older sister. I don't know if it's an older brother. So this may be societal projection from when I grew up. But I can see the time period I grew up, little girls were never supposed to brag. And if it's a little boy, you always had to hide your achievements. And that was true in the family, and that was true in school, and that was true even with the kind of advice. So if that played a role in her family, and I'm guessing from looking at her that that woman is probably 25 to 30 years younger than I am. I feel bad that our society is not moving rapidly. I feel sorry for, given that we know the science behind stuff, that so much of the social rules that humans make up in order to control, and it comes in various forms, these systems of control, still pretty much put women at some sort of disadvantage, and whether that's hiring or just the fact that, I always say this, there are no men's magazines that have ever said, you're too fat, you're too tall, your hair is too curly, your hair is too straight. If you only use this product, you'll be better liked. If you only did this, you would be better liked. And that just permeates so much, you know, in women. And that's partly what I heard, you know, I wondered about whether, you know, who it was that all of these comparisons and what she should and shouldn't do.
And
were-
that's so true. The cultural norms around that have been changing, and I thought they had changed, but you know, obviously, it continues to go. And so I wouldn't have thought of that, and I'm grateful to you for bringing that in. And I also heard that you might have experienced some of that gender discrimination when you were growing up. Is that the case?
The short answer would be yes, whether that was in law school or regular school or within the family dynamic. I mean, because there are all kinds of families where boys are favored in some way.
Yeah, I think, and I will say I'm probably the same age as you, and I think that these stories need to be written down. I don't think people understand how much we of our age group had to break through some walls. They just were there. Maybe the idea was not there anymore, but we had to do it. So anyway, that's why I'm writing my
I'm
memoir.
72 years old now. So when I went to law school, there were not very many women in law school.
Exactly.
And that's true probably of almost anything people of a certain age did. And if it wasn't something that was the expectation, you know, that bothered some people, you know, all the way over. And
that's what I love about telling our stories, because I don't think you can understand those stories unless you hear them now. You know, I mean, like, we are the generation where we can start. This is why I'm personally interested in stories. We leave behind what it was like, because I'm not sure people understand. The next generation never quite understand. And then 3 generations away, they never understand what we did. We may not think our story's very interesting, or, you know, we just did it, so it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. That's all I want to say. And thank you for sharing that, Rachel, because, you know, I think sometimes we need to remember that it wasn't easy in law school at that time. Wasn't necessarily undoable, but there were a lot fewer women doing that kind of thing. One more before we go on to what today is about. Boy, you guys are bringing up awesome things. You're not being the victim of your own stories. And this is wonderful. Yeah, I see Charlotte and I see Maria. So whichever one or both, and then we'll move on.
Okay, I'll go ahead. I totally identified with her right away. The thing about accomplishments and needing to set them aside or having others set them aside. It was that whatever I accomplished, my older brother, seemed to feel it made him less. He resented it, and he definitely made it known. And it didn't help that my mom would often say to him, "Can't you be more like Maria?" You know, because I had the grades and this and that. He had a much more charismatic personality in life. But anyway, when it came to accomplishments, I mean, every graduation, anything that I did. So there was that, and then there was my mother's, if only I had had that opportunity, if only even at my college graduation, to say, I wonder what my life would be like if I'd had this opportunity right at the graduation. So what I then did with that was I quit caring. I quit needing it. And so I just pursued in my own independence, not expecting any kind of I still moved forward. I still had that drive, and I knew what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be, and was happy about it, but I didn't look for any kind of acknowledgement anywhere. Yeah, I just quit caring, but I didn't quit being me. So there's that fire in me that was like, this is what I,
Unput
and I'm doing
outable.
it for me.
Yes.
Pardon?
Unput outable.
Yes. Yes. And I am, I persevere, and I have a very strong spirit. And I'm so glad I did that. There were certainly times that I wanted, would have liked to have some acknowledgement, but even by the time I got my master's, no one in my family really knew what I did, even
Wow.
my work.
Thanks
And
for
there
sharing that.
wasn't space or time to explain it. So
We're going to
like,
work with a tool today that hopefully will be, and thanks for sharing that. It was so different. I mean, I guess that you went without any cheering on is different than me, because I started getting bratty about it. Come on, cheer me on. So but my husband was like that. He learned not to show. He heard some girls talking about him in the 8th grade, and they called him a show off, and that really hurt him for a lot of years. And
Huh.
now he's the front man for a band. So I mean, I don't think it's, he didn't die from it, but it took him years to get over it. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Charlene, one more quick comment. Do you have something? And then we're just going to move on.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. But a lot of it resonated with me. I love it, a lot of it. I had a really smarter sister. It's kind of the opposite of Maria. I had a smarter sister, so I felt like neglected because no one even looked at my stuff. And so like so much of my life is like, please somebody see me. And then but then if I do get something, I'm like, you'll never last, and critic, whatever. But yeah, resonated.
Yeah. As you both speak, I think the word resilience comes to mind. If everyone could write a book, which is becoming truer nowadays than ever before, it's more of a democratic process than ever before. It wouldn't be such a big deal, if we could all be ours. But it is a very like climbing a mountain kind of process, and to learn how to write, to get the writing out there in the world, to learn how to paint, to get that out there in the world. It's forever after challenging, at least for people I work with. None of them have just flown through it. So, or if they fly through one part, they don't fly through the other. So here's what we're going to work with today. It's absolutely, and we're moving ahead. We're going to move ahead a little bit because I feel like it's just the right time to work with this tool. It's my favorite one, and it's called the jealousy map. Sound familiar? As far as jealousy? So the idea of the jealousy map, and I'm going to direct you on how to work with it. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not jealous. I can't be jealous. I don't like that word. If you cannot use that word, I would say, as we work with this tool, use the word admire. Every word has an opposite side of the coin. And our, what do you call it? Our bipolar, whatever society, our society is so black and white that we don't remember sometimes that it's not just this or that, it's actually this and that. So when we can see something in someone else, we usually have it. If you can see someone is jealous, you have enough to spot it in them. You have an understanding of how it could be if you decide to go down that road, or hopefully some of us have gone down that road. And I say hopefully because life is what you all have explained. So the tool is called the jealousy map. We are going to work with those people who we're jealous of. So I want you, or admire, like, for example, I would put on my jealousy map, Julia Cameron. Why? Because I'm jealous. She has 40 books out. I knew her back in the day when she gave me the first book. I've watched the whole process that she's gone through, and I'm jealous. I would like that. It's saying is I'm not jealous where I would act out on her. No, I'm not going to act out. In fact, I'm quite grateful for her. Just if you feel jealous. Now, if you would, you're going to have 3 columns. So the first column is going to be the name of the person, and it can be a real person, it could be a literary person. Real is good. Or it could just be in general a kind of a person. So it's who you're
someone that we are jealous of or we admire, not them are jealous of us.
exactly. But that's an interesting next exercise for someone to do. I've never done that.
I thought that's what we were doing. So
no, it's you got it right. You have it right. And that is where you write down who you're jealous of. In the first column, there's going to be 3 columns.
All the people that we're jealous of, or
5 or 6. Leave space between them because we're going to have some fun with it. And then go back to the second column and you're going to label that column why. Why are you jealous of them? I am not jealous of Julia's entire life. I'm glad that I am me, but I am jealous of that particular aspect of her life. Who do you admire? Who are you jealous of? First column. Second column is why. Usually it's one thing. It's not their whole life. Well, it could be, but it usually isn't. And in column 3, you're going to write one tiny thing you could do that would mend that jealousy. So for example, if my example is Julia Cameron, but there's a lot of them, writers that I really admire, but one of them is Julia Cameron. And why? Because she's written 40 books that are all about creativity. And what can I do to mend that? Well, I got on Substack and I've done other things, written poetry, been a performance artist, but now I'm on Substack and I'm writing articles about creativity. Like my latest one that I'm working on is Perfectionism Arrested for Strangling Creativity. That's the current one that I'm working on, right? And that makes me feel good because it's me. That's what I like to do. I like to write like that, not like Julia Cameron. So what can you do to mend this? What classes could you take? What small thing could you write or do to start mending? Why? Why means you often want that same thing. And then just keep working on it. See if you can get at least 3 or 4 people, if not 5. I mean,
I can only think of 2. I don't know.
Who else do you admire, Bonnie?
Well, I have a couple of one's a writer, one's an artist that I admire, but I can't really think of
what do you admire about them.
Well, kind of the same thing on both of them, which is both they're very focused and self-motivating. And one is a pretty successful artist and the other has already published a book. So
write that down. Write those down.
Yeah, I have those too. Yeah.
Okay. No one else that you can think of that you admire their writing or you admire that they're making money doing that? If not, then leave it blank. You'll maybe get some ideas.
Yeah, later I think I can think of more, but right now those are the only 2.
Kelly,
Yeah.
could you say more about the third column?
Yeah. Well, let's work with someone. Do you have one written down that we could work with?
Sure. Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou. Wait, I can't see who's talking for some reason.
Oh, Maria.
Oh, Maria. Maya Angelou. So, okay. So why are you jealous? Just the why column.
she's accomplished, she's amazing, inspirational, affected and affects people's lives.
Mm,
She grew past her hardship. And then lastly, what occurred to me was she saw the good in her mother, even though her mother had made some pretty serious effect in her life. She ended up loving her mother and bringing out the good. So yeah,
good. Now, as you look at that list, are there one or two items that resonate the most? They go, oh yeah.
resonate as in I'd like to have those.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, inspirational and an amazing writer, poet. I actually want them all.
Cool. So good. I heard you want to make an impact on others, and your whole voice changed when you got down to your mother and making peace with her. So, um, you know, relatives really give us everything we are. You know, they send us in directions. So let's just pick any one of them and just say, how could you mend that? So let's say you want to have an impact on others, be inspirational. That sounds like you want to write something like poetry or whatever. What's one tiny thing you could do?
I think speak out more and be more me out in the world. That's when I
Well,
do it.
what's one tiny thing you could do that you could control a little more? That's a big thing.
Yeah, that I
What's
could.
one tiny thing?
Um,
Are you open to others?
I
giving-
am.
Okay. So talk about yourself and what you've done, not give Maria advice if you could, but can we talk about one thing you've mended or one thing she might mend that you've tried that would work? One thing you've done that might work in her case. Charlene?
Sorry, what was the
What's
thing that
one
she's
thing
working-
she could do to mend the fact that she wants to inspire and have an impact on others? What's one small? She said, well, what was the thing you said? It was big. It was like, I speak up more.
Oh yeah,
You
speak out.
can't measure that. Yeah, Rachel or Charlene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but like where have you made an impact before? And I would go like, and where did you enjoy it? Because do you like volunteering or something like that? I just remember I'd make a list of all the times I had fun and I thought I made an impact and then see if I could go back to doing any of them. And you might not feel the same again, but it isn't this whole thing about exploring, right?
Interesting. I like that. Rachel, any ideas of what you've done? I love that.
I like Charlene's idea. I think that is a wonderful place actually to start. And I guess this could be a riff on that. And that is, it's one thing I know I want to do is to look at, let's put it this, doing certain kinds of things. I've not kept up with technology in the sense, what are all the platforms? How when I was a kid, I used to say, I wanted, do you want to be rich, famous, or whatever, powerful? And I'd always say, I'd like to have influence. It's weird to me that that is now actually a thing, but
Yeah, they have influencers.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
people get paid for, I mean, and some of that's different, but the thing is to look into, well, is there some platform on through which that exists that you might not even know of that
These
you
are
have
awesome
influence?
ideas. I never even
Well,
thought of that. Yeah.
the Substack thing. Okay, now you're a writer. That's a thing that didn't exist probably, I don't think, 10 years ago. And in more meaningful ways than perhaps than, I mean, all of these go together, but I don't know. Some of these seem more substantive to me, like someone will find your stuff to really read. Facebook has a more ephemeral reaction thing, Twitter the same, but figuring out, because there are all kinds of things out there where you could you find who does you want to have influence on, which I guess is the second question. Who do you want to, who do you see as your audience? Who do you want to?
Awesome. Let's
Who-
get one more idea in. What is something smaller even that Maria could do? Doable. So something doable, she could do it in the next 2 days. I mean, these are great example ideas. I hadn't even thought of them. What's something she could do in the next day or so? Catherine, I think you have something here. Yeah, let's get you. And then Leslie.
I don't have anything.
Maybe Maria, you could read a poem to a friend, someone who you know is going to be receptive to
Thank you. Thank you.
or
That's
your
it, exactly.
husband or child, or
We can bring it down to the smallest thing, or write a poem, or take a class on writing flash fiction, flash memoir. The idea is that you just want to take some small baby steps, and then everything we're bringing in, deciding on, do you like influencing people, can be brought in later. But wow, good, Catherine. It is so hard. Sometimes the culture we're raised in to just bring things down to that little itty bitty witty step that will get us going. It was me writing one poem, then 2 poems, then showing them to my boss. And then her telling me there was a teacher who would be good to work with. And I became a poet, a performance poet. Well, but if I'd gone out to be one, and I started having influence because it just came from what I felt called to do, what was fun. I'm motivated by fun. As other things too. So good. So take what we've learned from Maria, just finish up. I'm going to give you 1 more minute, finish up your 3rd column, something small. Give yourself something little and small.
Is this next to each person?
Yes. Yeah. In the 3rd column next to each one, if you haven't gotten down to something very small that you could do in the next 2-3 days, that would be easy to do. Just use your creativity to come up with one more little idea. Does that make sense, Rachel? You look.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. That's all.
Oh,
I'm not understanding what exactly. I'm not understanding the small part. Do something
what's one of yours?
of the one thing I can do.
Yeah. Why?
Put
First,
myself
why?
first. Put myself first and be more focused and self-directed.
Okay. Name one thing that puts you first. You see, we make these big general
Yeah.
statements. There's no
Well, I'm
way.
going to have an art show. So, and I'm in Northern California collecting my art out of storage. So I can't do anything for the next couple days.
No. Collecting your art out of storage is it. You are already on the path. Just
Okay.
put that down. Just
Okay.
put that down. We trick ourselves a little. So we make things a little more complicated sometimes than they need to be. So, well, I'll speak for myself. I think I can do that. But sometimes the smallest little thing is movement, just movement. And you're already in movement. Okay. So I really am using this time to break you up, because the amazing thing about working with the Artist Way in person is getting to know people. And it's true, you can do it here online, but you can't do it when we're always in big groups. So this is your chance to really hear someone, reflect back what they're saying. We don't have to fix them, change them, nothing. I'm trying to model that because believe me, I could fix you all in 2 minutes if I let my ego run me, right? So we're gonna just not judge, just say, oh, so what I'm hearing is this. That's what we're practicing here, because when I can hear someone say things my ego doesn't like, I practice staying neutral, and that way I can be that way with myself. Because in the end, I think it was you, Bonnie, who said or Leslie, that's how we treat ourselves better in the end. This is how we can be loving to ourselves. Okay,
Kelly,
so yes.
can I ask how long this one is? Because I don't know if the last one or the last couple, we just ran out of time with bigger groups, because we really start going into it and then we just
No.
can't get through anybody.
Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. Don't go
Yeah.
into it.
Just
Read,
don't.
no, read what you have on the
Okay.
paper, okay? If you add one more line, that's okay, but we want to, we are artists. What you know, when I send out something, boy, you better get it, you know, on Substack. Either you get it or I didn't reach my goal. So you're just going to share if you have one line to clarify, but I don't want you to get into long discussions about each one. Why? Because one, we can inadvertently say things that will negate what the person's saying, or even saying, oh, that's great, which I can do, also isn't necessarily encouraging. People come from both kinds of homes. So stick to what you have on the script, so to speak, okay? And hopefully then you'll come back when you're done. So if you could be any animal in the whole world, what animal would you be? Just maybe have a thought or two of an animal or two that you can be. I've been a horse. I've been a pig. I knew I was really in recovery when I became a pig because I had shame around being a pig. So what animal could you be? So we're going to play with this. Everyone got one? If I were an animal, in fact, write this down. If I were an animal, I would be let the answer come out at the end of this sentence. If I were an animal, I would be and yeah, it might have more than one. You can write that statement more than once. If I were an animal, I'd be okay. Better to handwrite with this next exercise if you can. I know some of you like working on the computer. Computer's great. When I'm writing for Substack or a story, I have to get on the computer. But in here, sometimes when we write by hand, we're going to get something else. And this is for you, the poet, Maria. So when we write by hand, and then we'll put structure in later by using computer. I want you to do what that girl did when she drew the caterpillar. And I want you to draw me, if you have crayons around or magic markers or just your pencil, I don't care. I want you to draw me an animal like you would as a kid. Even if you draw and that's your big thing, Bonnie, you can always draw with your other hand. I just want you to draw the animal you would be. It's not about drawing it beautifully. It's just draw that. You're going to draw your caterpillar, which is your own animal. And now you're going to write, and I will tell you when to stop. You're going to, well, actually, let me put this in the chat. So there's 4 things that can help you get into that creative side of yourself. And one of them is writing. Well, how does writing help? When we think of the 5 senses, I smell, what else?
See, hear,
See, hear,
Touch,
touch,
Taste.
taste.
taste. Good, you got them all. And then I always put in imagine. And I think feeling is a feeling. Like a feeling, to just feeling you can't even, whatever. Those are all things that take you where in your brain, supposedly, according to the old school definition. It's still somewhat true. They say it takes you to your right brain. Your right brain can get delusional. It's not always perfect, but a lot of creativity comes out of that side of your brain. And then the other side of the brain, the left side of the brain, who, what, where, how, why. I think those are them. So like a journalist would do to write a story, right? That takes you into your left brain to do most kinds of creativity and to really bring ourselves out there in the world. We need both of these skills. We need to be able to go into our right brain at will. We need to be able to go into that left brain. So I put those in the chat. Oh, witchcraft. Yes, Rachel shared witchcraft. Wishcraft is a wonderful book from the 1980s. Yes, I like that book. But I did put in the I smell, I see, right brain prompts and what I'll call left brain prompts. Now, you're going to start writing, if I were an animal, I would be, and then you're going to get detailed about why would you be that animal. And my suggestion is don't take your hand off the page and start rereading anything you've written. Don't stop and think. Write, if your critic comes up, write down what the critic has to say. If you're think it's stupid what you're saying, which is your critic, then write that down, but then keep on writing about that animal until I call time. Any questions about this process? Catherine's already and Janet's already played with these tools.
So it's why we would be this animal?
Yeah, if I were an animal, I would be a horse or a an elephant, whatever it is. And if it takes you where it takes you, like if you become another animal at the same time, go for that. Don't stop yourself, don't censor yourself, or if you are censoring yourself, write it down on the page. Now, I think it was stupid that I picked elephant. How can I be an elephant? I don't really have a trunk. Whatever, this is stream of consciousness. It's why we write morning pages, to get more outside of our heads. Okay. Any more questions? On your mark.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
What is it? Do we use the elements of the left and right brain as the animal?
Yes,
that
they,
we're
like
suggesting?
if you
Okay.
do get stuck, you can look over there and if I were an animal, I'd be an elephant and I would have a trunk that smells the grass on the ground, then we can start
Okay.
pulling those in so we don't have to stop. Any other questions? Okay, now on your mark, get set and write. Okay. So, I think what would be fun is just to read them out loud, and then we can look at what's working about them. Just what's working about them, like what impacts you? Maria's talking about making an impact on the world. Sometimes we just need to know we already are making an impact on the world. And the way you can help your fellow Artist Way people say, oh, I heard that. I heard you said that. I heard you wrote that. That's so important. I think we live in a culture sometimes where we're all looking to critique everything, and we will get better just by starting to notice everyone else and just hearing them. And that's what, in case you haven't noticed, that's what today's whole class is about, is just hearing and reflecting back at the, reflecting back something that impacts you. So I will help with that, and we're going to go. Who's brave and can read yours out loud first? Go for it, Rachel.
There's my picture. I'd be a horse. There's my picture.
Oh,
My horse.
yes, what a cute horse.
Okay. If I were a horse, I'd be elegant, strong, independent, but part of a herd. I'd be outdoors, sleek if I were cared for by humans, shaggy if in winter, if on my own in nature. I'd be a vegetarian because that's what horses are. I'd have a soft velvety nose because horses just do. I'd be vigilant because horses have to be. They are prey animals. All that power meant to escape, for escape. If I were a horse, I'd be majestic. I wouldn't be a stocky Welsh pony or a stubborn Shetland. I'd like to eat apples and carrots as my sweets and maybe an oat mash. I'd be athletic, a sport horse, not a plow horse. Although big draft horses have charm, the elephants of the equine world. Being a carriage horse might be okay, but I'd rather be an Olympian. Hard to decide between dressage, jumping, or eventing. Maybe I'd be a pentathlete. No, a jumper. Fast, powerful, strong.
Wow, okay. What, just a couple quick comments. You don't want to go into too many, but just something quickly that you impacted you. Here's what I'll call it, Velcro. It stuck to you after you're done hearing it. What stuck to you?
Powerful and athletic.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
How well she knew the nature of horses. How it felt to be a horse.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I saw a couple things. One, some opposites. You're strong, yet independent. You're part of a herd. I mean, excuse me, you're part of a herd, but you're independent. And there were a couple others like that. The self velvety nose. And I loved the list. I wouldn't be this, I wouldn't be this. And then at the end of it, what you would be and how you would choose that. So thank you. Thank you. Who's next? Okay, just so your cat doesn't go away. Okay, you have to unmute though, Leslie. I've become a cat lover.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to take my glasses off to read my own writing.
You want to show your picture first?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I have two pictures. The first one is a horse,
Mm-hmm.
horse, of course, and the second one is a cat.
Okay, bring it up closer to the.
I don't know what will happen. Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
Oh, we couldn't have missed that. Okay.
This is better.
Yes. Yes.
this is a better picture.
Okay, good.
Okay.
It's hard to see them when they're far away on this Zoom.
I,
Okay.
I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, now what I'm saying is, if I were an animal, I would be, okay, keep my hand on my page. I would be a horse. I would have a mane and a tail. I would be free. I would run fast. I would not like being locked up in a stall. Maybe I'd rather be a cat. I would be soft and I would purr. And my people, I can't even read my own writing. My people would take care of all my needs. They would groom me. They would play with me. I would snuggle with them. I would be their pride and joy. If I were a cat, I would not need to do any work. As humans think about work, I would be an emotional support cat. Maybe I would be a wild mountain lion, and my life would be spent in the open. I would hunt my own food. All the other animals would give me their respect because I would be the apex predator. I would share my kill with other animals and with humans if they were having trouble surviving. And I would purr because mountain lions can purr. And as apex predator, I am generous with those who do not have as much mojo or macho as I do.
Yes. We always do this in old poetry readings, you know, when
That's
they have those
fun.
Beat Generation. I used to do
That's
those.
fun.
Yeah. So that's what we do. Yeah. So anything that was Velcro for you that you can reflect back to Leslie.
I love the drawing of the horse. It really showed the spirit of the freedom of the horse.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, Velcro? I think Rachel, you're
like I like the generous view of the apex predator as sharing. I mean, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that too, that you would help humans if they couldn't, if they ran out of food. That was lovely. The support, like, oh.
Good. Yeah. I mean, you did it. And I think what hit me was you're a horse, and then you're like, nope, I'm going to be a cat. Yeah. Talk about cats being smart. they create a whole life for themselves. My cats are so spoiled. They have so much abundance that they've created. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Who's next? Did we lose Maria? Did we lose anyone else? Okay.
I can go.
Okay, go for it, Janet.
So I chose to be a giraffe.
Ooh.
Why? Because of its long neck to see above the world from a perspective high above, being able to view the panoramic view and get a better idea of the world in which we live for real. I'd be able to listen into things and hear new ideas without being too close for comfort. I would like to feel tall and not so small as maybe this would help me lift my soul up above the madness. It wouldn't seem the same, a new perspective. So I'm trying to read my writing, it's terrible. A new perspective can bring a new life and it can help others by sharing what I've uncovered. It would also feel really strange to have a totally different body, not a human one that we all worry about so much, to keep it in a certain shape and see and look. I'd be furry and more accepting of myself, as all giraffes are pretty much the same. So many worlds could open up through the eyes of the giraffe.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yes. Okay, where's the Velcro? What did you hear?
The height.
Yeah.
To see above.
Not being so small.
Yes, and the perspective, this panoramic view giving you perspective. And what I especially loved, I mean, these portraits are so indicative of the person writing them, right? But it's listen to new ideas without getting too close for comfort. Yeah, I loved that. Yeah, I want to be one too. Yeah, Rachel, you're muted.
I do that anyway. All those things, plus the thing about how, being in a different body, because giraffes are all alike. And I always think, I bet you giraffes don't think they're all alike. But the notion that
Probably not.
if they get to be something else, all of that kind of goes away. The judgment goes away because, hey, I'm a giraffe. Hey, I'm a horse.
And I thought,
It's
wow,
freeing. It's
I put
freeing.
myself in a giraffe body for a second too. I thought I've never thought of that before. Just what would have, Also, when I studied compassionate communication or nonviolent communication by Rosenthal, he talks about giraffes as having the biggest hearts.
Oh,
Nice, huh?
wow.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
Thank
my
you.
giraffe as well. I forgot to show you the giraffe.
Oh, yes, let's see your giraffe.
Oh, he's a cutie pie. Who's next? It was okay, Charlene, you just go, girl.
Sure. It's a bit random. I would be an eagle. I don't know how to draw an eagle,
Yeah.
but is the eagle there?
Okay, we see.
You see it? It's not
Yeah,
an eagle.
it's
I
got
would be
wings.
it's got wings. I would be because an eagle because it's majestic. I'm free, amazing, beautiful, one of a kind, independent. An eagle doesn't need to be looked at to be an eagle. Very happy flying over. I saw this documentary where I saw an eagle flying over Kazakhstan, and it was so bare. Anyway, whatever. Eagle flying over Kazakhstan, and just being, and that's it. And I can be unseen and still be majestic. I am beautiful. I don't need to be told that I'm special. I can fly. I can breathe. I can soar. I'm fearless. I can breathe. I've always been able to breathe. And then I go random bits about having a child.
Why don't you
Anyway,
just
I'm gonna
read it?
skip.
Just
Just
read it.
read it. Okay, it's
Yeah, what
weird.
the heck?
What about having a baby? An eagle can have young too. I can imagine myself. I imagine myself this eagle with a bandana, fearless, smoking a pipe. I feel like I smell and feel freshness. I fall, I break, I soar, I fall, I fall. The beautiful sides of Cornwall. Can't imagine what it would be like. The blood and guts. I am falling. I am fallen. I am fallen. I'm a woman. I'm a bird. I'm kindness. I've gone crazy. Anyway, what else?
Don't skip anything, just keep going.
Jesus Christ. Fine. Uh, I was intending to skip it, but I guess I will tell you. Who am I? Where am I? Kazakhstan. Why? How do I live on such bare fruit? What do I do? What did I write? Freedom, tranquility, all of it. Oh, I'm a him. I'm a him. The self-worth aspect and let it go, let it be. I don't want to write anymore. This gig, I'm worried about my gig, and I'm always worried, and I don't want to be free.
Yes. Yes. So two things. One is I want to say that you use the technique to keep going, and your best stuff came after you were going to stop and skip over it. The stuff about why am I having a baby? That's really deep stuff. So, you know, that was your best stuff. And I know from teaching writing that we often stop before our best stop because we're getting more vulnerable, and we don't want people to know that we think like that. The ego doesn't want people to know, because that would embarrass it. As a comedian, you know all about looking embarrassed. So, and the ego does try to keep us from doing that. And that's why I didn't do comedy for a long time. I was embarrassed of things like that. Anyone have a Velcro that they can reflect back?
The part about the falling.
Yeah.
That was actually scary to me. That an eagle would be falling, and I wanted the eagle to fall because the eagle was going to catch some prey and then lift up and fly, but it didn't. It just kept falling.
Yes. And here's the wisest line. Doesn't need to be looked at to be an eagle. Think about that. What is a wise line? That's why the ugly duckling story, you get to the end of it, and the real one that was written by Hans Christian Andersen, it's unbelievably smart like that. It's yeah. Rachel, did you have one more thing to add?
Well, as it went on, I mean, it started sort of realistic, and then when it got into that whole twirling, more stream of consciousness thing, I had sort of a filmic sense about it, just the swirling and the images that kept coming one after another. It had a kind of, I guess I would say savage lyricism, and then the way it ended. I'm worried, I'm always worried. It was wonderful. I wouldn't, don't throw it away.
Yeah, none of us throw it away, because we're healing. This is the mending part of whatever you wrote about earlier. And so I thought to do this exercise as a way of mending. Maria, you were a big impetus on that. It's just the idea we can do something small like this and mend. So who's next? Someone raised their hand and I called on them. Was it Kim?
Sure, okay.
Kim, and then Maria, and then Bonnie, and yes. Oh, and Catherine. I thought it was Catherine. Okay, yeah, bring it up to close because it gets in the blur.
Oh, I think.
Oh, bring it up in front of your face. See? Oh, still doing it. Oh, yeah. I saw it.
There.
We got a glimpse of it. Okay, yes.
Pretty funny old horse. Left brain, who am I? I'm a horse with a long life. What am I doing? I'm running free. Where? I'm running free on the coast. Why? Because it's my nature just to be and not accomplish anything. When? Now in an alternate universe. Then I did the right brain ones. If I was a horse, I would see the vast view to the ocean ahead. I would smell the fresh air and the grass. I would hear my hoofs thudding along beneath me. I would touch with my muzzle the grass that I was eating while I'm running. I would taste the sweet grass and the honey clover. I would imagine I could fly like Pegasus. I
Okay.
would feel free and strong. Another horse.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like that part
Right.
about
When it goes in front of your face, that's because you have a blur background on. Nope. Go closer to the thing, to the camera. Okay. I think blur backgrounds are definitely the anti. Oh,
okay,
we can almost
anyway.
see it. Yeah, anti-C. Okay,
I
let's
like
just.
I like the part about just uh, true to my nature,
Mm,
being true to my nature. No, nothing to accomplish.
yes. Okay, who else can give her a Velcro? Just let's do one or two Velcros because we're running out.
I liked the Velcro was taste. You were making me taste the various things the horse was eating.
I liked when you went into all of those because it became more specific, and then I really could get into the horse's head, be in the horse and see what you were seeing, see what it was seeing. So thank you, Kim.
I was an old horse. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
Old horse.
I would write more about that. I like that.
Interesting.
Old horses, they don't throw you. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay, Bonnie, and then Catherine and Maria.
Okay, I'm a lioness, and I would be courageous, fierce, determined, stealth, living in the outdoors in complete freedom. I would be protective of my pride and my cubs. I would be muscular, fast, have a cute smell. I would be looking for the opportunity for the next kill. I would be understanding the other animals. I would rule over my territory and pride with protective fierceness. I would lick my cubs, smell the air, and stretch in the sun. I didn't fully understand what we were supposed to do, so that's what came.
Wow, I don't know how it turned out so well then. Let's go like this. Yes. Okay, what did she do that one of the things that's Velcro?
Well, she's protecting her cubs. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yes. And the
And she's
entire
fierce.
pride. Yes.
Yeah.
And then that part at the end where it's I saw her licking her paws or the cub.
licking my cubs.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
cubs.
Yes. So we get this mother spirit, this fierce mother warrior. Sometimes, we get so caught up in the culture that we think we can't have this shadow side of ourselves. The fierce, the protective, the mother that would kill for her cubs, that is a part of many women. And so I'm glad that you wrote about that. And by the way, when we write something different than what we normally write, we usually criticize it. That's how we keep ourselves from taking risks. So thank you for reading it out loud. Yeah. Okay, Maria or Catherine, whoever wants to go next. Yeah, there we go. And then Catherine will go next.
So if I were an animal, I would be a large sea turtle.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yes. Oh, there he is. Sea turtle.
Very happy sea turtle. Large,
Very happy. Yeah.
large sea turtle. Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
If I were an animal, I would be a large sea turtle. I would swim freely in the ocean near the Nepali coast in Kauai.
Uh-huh.
I move slowly and smoothly. I go deep and slow. Other sea turtles would be around me, not too many and not too close. I would be wise. I would know that I was going to live a very long time, longer than most animals. I would be friendly, accepting of other turtles' presence. but not intentionally engage with them. I would be beautiful, glorious. My shell would be various hues of green and brown. My legs and arms would be wrinkled and interesting. I would move deep and slowly. I would breathe deep and slowly. I would be confident, wise, absolutely knowing that my presence lifts up people and other animals. No ego, simply being. I save lives. I saved yours. Breathe deep and slow, deep and slow, deep and slow.
Yes, breathe deep and slow. Whoo-hoo, yes. Okay. Any Velcro that you can reflect back, be a mirror, show her Velcro?
How she
Well,
got the sea turtles near her, but not too close, and that she was wise. I love that. Yeah.
The deep and slow, everything deep and slow. I mean, it was meditative. You know, the imagery to me.
Yeah, and as a woman who has wrinkles now, I'm particularly interested in wrinkles looking
That are
interesting.
so
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Catherine.
Okay, I fixed my camera and I don't think you could see that.
Okay.
It's a cat and a dolphin.
Oh, yeah, you can
Dolphin's
see
on
the
the top.
cat's eyes and face full forward.
If I were a dolphin, I would be able to leap. Oh, I just want to say one more thing to Maria. Is she gone?
No, I'm
Oh,
here.
I thought actually it was very poetic. And you were talking about Maya Angelou and that you would live long. So I thought that you did shared a very poetic writing for
Thank
the
you.
short amount of time we had. So
I
there you go.
felt the shift toward maybe 2/3 of the way through. There was a shift where I was the sea turtle.
Right.
Ooh.
As if the words were not my words. The words were coming from somewhere deep inside me.
Hmm.
I felt the shift.
Thank you. That's where we're going for, is that flow. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Okay, Catherine.
If I were a dolphin, I would be able to leap out of the ocean waters, play by scooting backwards on my tail, and I would have others in my pod who I could travel the oceans with. I could sing and communicate with others through sound. I would swim fast. I could befriend humans and communicate with them as well. Follow them on their ocean liners or sailboats. I could see the beauty of the coral reefs and the tropical fish. That's shifted. If I were a cat, I could live with nice humans who would feed and house me, take take care of me. Yet I would remain quite independent as well, as they would understand this was my nature. I could communicate with them through my vocalizations. They know when I was distressed and needed to be let outside, be fed, be brushed, played with, have my litter cleaned. We'd work out a vocal and physical means of communication.
Hmm. Okay, yeah. So if you can give Catherine the gift of some Velcro.
Well, I really liked the fact that when you were saying about working out ways of communication with your people. I thought that was beautiful and it felt very, very real.
Thanks.
Anything else?
And your cat and Leslie's cat were similar in that they love being taken care of.
Yeah, we both have cats. Mine's here, and yours is back there. They
I
just know
like
when to
that.
come.
I like that as well, but I also like the independent part. And then toward the end, when you were simply stating what a cat is, no judgment, no, just this is, the independence and yeah, I think just the statement of this is how I am as a cat.
Yes. And I will say that the scooting backwards on the tail. I saw that in the dolphins, and then following them on the ocean liner. And you did something else that they did. I thought, wow, that's kind of a children's book in a way, those images, or in any book. But yeah, it was just kind of visual. I went there. So
Thank you. It actually happened to me when I was going from California to Japan.
Wow. Wow.
Dolphins would follow us.
love it. Okay, so let's just talk for a second. I want to give the assignment. Don't die, because you could have had a worse assignment this week. How's that sound?
Uh-oh, we were this close.
Write a song for next week. Write a song for next week.
Do we have to sing it?
That's what I was thinking.
No
Music
one
and
ever
words.
has to do anything they don't want to do, but so you can just write it, but I would encourage it next week that you do sing, because if I could sing, and I sound like Lucille Ball back in the day.
We should do a
You can
duet.
sing. My husband and I looked up to see if I was tone deaf. I'm not tone deaf, but nonetheless, I'm not much of a fan. Okay, we'll have fun. We'll have fun, but sing a song. It can be a poem, Maria. It can be whatever you want. But yeah, that's what we're doing for next week. Read, what are we on? Chapter 5?
Yeah.
Chapter 5. I would like you to also do morning pages. If you haven't been doing them, one page. I'm having a hell of a time because I'm writing a lot of stuff. And so I'm having a hell of a time doing my morning pages, which is not usually the case, but that's okay. I did a page and a half today, so just something, whatever's going on, get it out of you and then go. Then I've been doing other kinds of writing. And then, yeah, that's it for next week. Write a song. The video, Janet will edit it, and then that's it. Any questions?
Any accompaniment?
I'll see if my husband will come and play his guitar behind you. You know what? I just was really gobsmacked. Is that a word? I was really struck. That's probably more sophisticated word, by how many similarities there were between your writing. Did anyone else notice it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot about freedom.
A lot about freedom, independence, a lot of horses in the room, cats. I expected cats, but a lot of horses in the room, and a lot of freedom. Yeah. Anything else you notice? I just thought that was so cool. How groups come together for these underlying reasons that we don't even know. So that's my big pronouncement of the day, my big insight for the day. Don't ask anymore. I don't have
Are some of your other groups, they have different animals that they focus on?
Yes, it depends. In the expressive writing, we do those kinds of exercises. In the memoir, sometimes we will, but we're looking for more polished stories. So yeah, it just depends. The way I look at it is our job is to come together and encourage each other and say how wonderful. I mean, what is wonderful? What do we notice? And then later we can edit. Later we can do that kind of other work that needs to be done on a creative, but getting it out in those first drafts is I would say my life work. So, and for myself too, not just helping you, but helping myself get those first drafts out. And being nice to that little girl inside. She was so cute. I hated her once. I thought she was too chubby, and I thought she was ugly. She had curls, and she was fatter than everyone else in the family. And yeah, who could imagine? And now I look back at her and I think, well, you were a little chubby, but I've learned to love you. So, well, have a wonderful week. If you need to contact me, you have my email address, and if you want to stay after and ask a question, I'm going to be here for a second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna head out.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.